Welcome to the Radio Telescope Observation Party for August. Couple of announcements. We've got Eastern Conference in Green Bank between 20 and 23 August. If you have not, if you're not planning on attending in person, please sign up for the Zoom meeting part of it. And you'll be on just like we do here on the Drake's Lounges and our tops. You'll be able to interact online. If you are going, Jay sent out a notice. You need to actually fill out a security form, which is basically, to prove you're a U.S. citizen, or at least so they can check. So he sent out the link to that. If you're also going, they do not have Wi-Fi there, but they do have Cat5 internet. Last time I was there, so bring a Cat5 cord with you, so you can plug into their internet connections. Let's see, I've updated the index for all our publications and videos. That is now on the website. I sent it also to the Sarah list. We got 43 new since February, 43 new updates of either papers or videos. That's about 7 per month. That's really good. Let's see. I'm still looking for anybody who wants to give a paper for the journal. Need those by 12 August. And observation reports. So if you've done an observation, that'd be good to send to the journal. Now, one thing I will note is that Anthony and Edward and various other people, they actually send that to Sarah listserv and get the opinion of the team before they actually send it to the journal. The reason I think you do that is because it's you get a lot of false positives in doing it the amateur way, and it's nice to have a couple of people validate it before you send it to the journal. So I'd recommend that if you want to send an observation report, send it to the listserv guys, and if they all sort of agree that it's a valid observation, send me a copy to the journal and I'll put it in the journal. That'll help a lot. Elections, we've got a full slate of people that are either re-upping their position for board or officers, but still looking for a treasurer. Treasurers, I'm saying, is probably the hardest job at Sarah, because they're interacting, getting memberships, getting the conference stuff, getting dealing with payments for PayPal for the store. But we're still in need of one. Brian is going to be stepping down after August because he's done with his term, and we do need an update on that. Someone can do that. One other thing that we're looking at, and I haven't got it organized enough to even know if I can do it by the Eastern Conference, is the bylaws has the board of directors and split into 2 sets. It's either the straight board of directors or at-large board of directors. The only real difference between them, they both have the same voting rights, etc., is that the at-large members don't have to attend the Eastern Conference according to the bylaws, but the board members do. This is sort of a fallback of when we had to have an annual board meeting, per the rules of a small business. That is, it does not appear. It appears that we've been doing it as Zoom for the last 3 years. We don't really need to have the board members attend the meeting in person. They can do it by Zoom. Since we've been having it that way, and it seems to work. So we're looking at changing the bylaws So there really is no difference between an at-large and a standard board member. And that's really the only difference right now that I know of that is the difference between the two. Anyway, so that might be that's going to take a membership change to the bylaws, but I haven't got that organized yet. But anyway, that's sort of coming. So we'll see if that we'll see how that works. We may have an election not associated with the or not election, but a vote not associated with the Eastern Conference, just because there's so much going on between now and then. Let's see. We just got notified that the ARRL antenna book is going to print. We got our Ward Silver, who is the editor for that, sent out notices to a bunch of the authors, said, hey, can you send me your high-res video or high-res versions of the photos they had it sitting in there, and they did. So it looks like we're good to go, and those will be, and so look for the antenna book in the next couple of months, I guess, that we've, Sarah's actually written one of the chapters, the first chapter, not the first chapter, the first time we've had radio astronomy in the ARRL antenna book, and we submitted most of those. Let's see. Deep Space Exploration Society is holding its open house Saturday, 16th September in Haswell, Colorado. If anybody's never been down there, it's in the middle of I wouldn't call it corn. What's the thing that looks like it's a foot-sized corn? Anyway, it's middle of one of those fields, and so anybody wants to go to that, we'll put up the brochure in the chat so you guys can look at that. All right. Let's see a couple things from the forum. The HARP is transmitting between 8 and 14 August, and they'll be doing from between 2.8 and 10 megahertz. Take a look at the listserv. Whittam Reeve has put up the notice of the HARP transmissions. The goal there is to see if you can hear that with your gear and send a report in to look at the notice to see where to send the report in, and that'll help them analyze ionospheric events and reflections and things like that. The BAA, British Astronomical Association, which we are we're synced up very well with, has two presentations, and SARA members are invited. First is a square kilometer array presentation, and one in September, and 6 October is Marcus Leach giving a SDR interferometer presentation. Let's see. Other things going on the listserv, Edward Moll has done a couple of major observations, a lot of discussions on how to build a Horn telescope for hydrogen. Let's see, a lot of discussion on using a non-contact IR thermometer to do infrared radio astronomy. And so basically you're pointing that up in the sky and you're seeing the variations in temperature. And I guess it works for IR. And let's see, Anthony has done a bunch of SIG-A observations, and he's actually looked for the listserv guys to validate it for him. Okay, those are the updates I've got. Anybody else have any updates for the organization? Any presentations you want to give for this today?
Hello to all. A short talk about my about my observations of CFU measure up to 10 minutes. It's okay?
So do you have a presentation, Dimitri? You want to do it now?
Oh, yes, okay.
Okay.
Short presentation up to 10 minutes.
All right, you're on. Go ahead.
I can begin? Can I
Yeah, go ahead.
begin?
Go ahead. Yep.
Thank you. Just a moment. Do you see the presentations?
We see it.
Okay. Uh, this is presentations CFU measure. This is my work during last 2 months. So several things I want to say you. Uh, I found so one rather remarkable work from Japanese astronomers. 207 years, it's, relatively old. They this work devoted to especially these measures and some good information about measure can be extracted from there. These measures, as you can see, not only consist of five distinguishable lines, uh, can be grouped in two parts, red shifted parts and blue shifted parts, five lines from 2 kilometers per second up to 5 kilometers per second. Blue shifted parts, three lines, blue shifted parts, and red shifted parts. This is two lines. They are these parts are inversely correlated when red shifted parts goes up in intensity, blue shifted parts go down in intensity, and lines in each part, blue and red, is usually correlated positively. If three lines of blue parts rising, all three lines of blue parts rising, and all two lines in red parts also rising simultaneously, almost simultaneously. This is Japanese astronomers. Their instruments single 32 meters dish and array VLBI network, several big 32 meters dishes in this network. From this work too, they observed these measures during 2007 year, almost every day. they observe it when blue shifted parts goes larger than red shifted parts. Uh, I didn't see these situations in Ibaraki database. They tells mostly red shifted parts dominates or uh, mm, these parts blue shifted and red shifted approximately approximately same, but in 2007 years they already see when blue shifted parts is significantly larger than red shifted parts. And spatial structure of this mother results of interferometry, VLBI, their VLBI. You can see this is a picture as it's seen from is seen at this interferometer. Blue parts each lines is shown by corresponding color. This is red parts, and 3 lines blue parts of this measure. Star is supposed excitations object, excitation object, which is pumping this maser and correspond to 43 gigahertz source of radiation. And around this excitation parts is also detected to 22 gigahertz radiation, and you can see with the photos here. It's I think it's structure of this mother is interesting, and I I with reference to Japanese astronomers several peaks from their works. This works is available in arXiv. 2007 years. The reference is here. And what I observed in for this method, I already told about my setup. 1.8 meter dish, integration 2 hours, resolutions up to 0.2 kilometer per second in velocity. Total bandwidth of receivers 1.5 megahertz. And I inserted two pictures how these lines I see during the detections. This is on the receiver. You can see this is zoom of already averaged spectrums, and you can see two lines appearing, two lines are appearing in the receiver screen. This pictures uh, uh, is screenshotted uh, in about 1 hour of integrations, 1 hour integration of integrations, and this picture shows um, uh, full frequency response of receivers. This is significantly flat, and because of that, zoom pictures looks like like a sun mountain, but Linux is can be well seen during the integrations, during the integration. And last 2 months results, I detected when blue parts of this measures is significantly higher than red part, at least at least two detections in June. I received this message is rather variable and changes spectrums, maybe even maybe even faster than one in uh, the speed of changes maybe very fast. Can change almost every day, but uh, mm, my observations one time in 3-4 days, as I can uh, as I can in my check. I can I I have no possibility to observe this message more frequently than one time in 3-4 days. This June results, and my first July results almost equal, almost same red and blue parts. Uh, mm, one spectrum, the blue parts is some higher than red parts. Uh, second half of July, I detected also uh, blue parts is somewhat higher, but situations is changing. But situations um, mm, when balance between red parts is and blue parts changes in one day from 15 July to 16 July, and red shifted parts is became higher in one day. And last and very recent results, including today results about today results of observations. 27 July, 30 July, red shifted parts is somewhat higher, and several days ago red parts is almost 500 Yansky, very bright. And today results they are almost equal. That's all for today. Thank you.
Great. Do you think the intensity changes over time from the blue shift to the red shifted, or because the whole structure is rotating in relationship to our line of sight?
Uh-huh. Uh, I'm not sure that structure is rotating. No, I don't. I think I don't know what processes. This is very interesting questions, but I can explain why these parts are changing in these measures. I didn't. I am looking for informations about it, and I think these measures already previously well investigated. I didn't explain why these parts are changing, but the correlations, I see the correlations, what Japanese astronomers already seen in 27 years. I also see these correlations, but for now, I can't explain why
Is
these
it
parts
more
are
is it
changing.
more likely that the pump sources rotate so that there's different amplitude of pumping varying the
No,
time?
yes, different, maybe the source of excitations is rotating,
Yeah,
but I didn't find um, information about this is only what I find. This is only presumable point where the excitation source is located, but no information about excitation source nature and more deep structure of this method.
Anybody else have any questions for Dimitri? This is really good. I love this stuff.
Yeah, maybe just a comment on what also Don said. I would assume that the variation in intensity is primarily due to variations in the pumping energy. You can have with let's say with small fluctuations in the pumping energy, the maser energy might drastically change. I think we see very prominent examples in the water masers at 22 gigahertz, where we see extreme variations of intensity, where you see the flaring. So I think the most likely explanation is really that there is a change in the pumping situation, so in the infrared radiation, and a small fluctuation will then have a very dramatic effect on the intensity of the actual maser. And obviously the different lines, the 5 different lines which Dimitri explained, these are somewhat different regions, and you see fluctuations in the pumping intensity there. But in order to really explain that in detail, probably you would have to permanently have both VLBA observation of the area and also at the same time look at the pumping. So it's probably from an observational standpoint very difficult to do, but it's in itself it's interesting to see how variable these masers are. And I should also mention, I mean, we're here looking at a 1.2 meter dish. That's a fairly small instrument, which shows how intensive these masers can be.
That's okay, and I saw some attentions that red shifted parts is grouped in more closer parts of space, but blue shifted parts is spread spread large is spread more spread than red shifted parts. I even can't suppose why for now why why so why so changes in pumping of those parts is absorbed by I'm looking for some informations. Maybe can found, maybe found.
All right. Well, thanks for doing this, Dimitri. This is really good. Anybody else got anything?
Please again.
No, just thanks for doing this. This is really good. And I was wondering if anybody else has any questions. No. Okay. Thank you, sir. All right. Let's see. Wolfgang, you're also in that time zone, so we're in the range. What else you got?
Yeah, maybe I can sort of pick up on the subject of Dimitri as a sort of a small, low priority exercise. We're working against also having a 6.7 gigahertz capability to look at the masers. I briefly mentioned that in previous meetings here, and it's a low priority thing, but we did some further steps in that direction. Maybe I can just share. Hold on a second. So this is hopefully our feed horn that we will be using. It's essentially a copper tube, and we happen to have some chaparral rings for it, which just happens to fit. And so this is the idea. And maybe, let's see. Now I can switch between the, no, I can't switch between the pictures, so I have to stop sharing and share that again. So this is what the actual tube looks like. So it's a copper tube. And what actually I did today was to put it on a network analyzer just to see that the probe was properly aligned and in tuned. I have to say though, as you can see from this picture and another one yet to come, we have a very, very old network analyzer which covers this frequency range. Our more modern ones go only up to 3 gigahertz, but in this case we have to go higher. So I could only take a photograph. This is the resonance of the feed. It's slightly off, so the center would be exactly the OH line, but we're still some 15 dB down. So we're close. So the idea is to use that feed with our 3-meter dish. Hopefully our 3-meter dish is good enough to at the 6.7 gigahertz roughly. But we're still lacking a couple of items to go with it. Following the recommendation of Dimitri, we have purchased these IF conversion units, which will convert it down to L-band, but we're still looking for a proper local oscillator to drive it. And we're also still looking for a proper LNA. It's going to take probably a couple of months to go. I don't know, because we can only do it as a side project, but hopefully at some point in time, we'll be able to observe these masers just like Dimitri did.
Great. And what frequency was that again for, Wolfgang?
It's 6.668 gigahertz, if I recall correctly. That's the transition frequency of the maser.
What size antenna we're going to put on?
We're probably going to put it on our 3-meter dish. Basically, because we think it might be still okay. It's originally a C-band dish, so it's not designed for 7 gigahertz, but it might still be okay. We just have to check. The first check will be to put the feed on the dish and then look at the sun, see what sun noise we are getting, whether we get any reasonable signal there, and then take it from there. But that's sort of the path we are following. The basic idea is that's something that we discussed today. The diameter of the chaparral rings is about 11 centimeters, and the opening of our L-band is about 15 centimeters. So the idea would be to put it inside our L-band feed horn. So just so we can quickly change it. That's still a lot of work in progress, but it's sort of a fun thing to do in between, I would say.
And what was the diameter of the copper tube you had there?
It's 35 millimeters. That happens to be a standard size, which fits very well. And the end cap is also something that you can buy off the shelf. So fortunately, the sort of standard copper tubing, which is used for, I believe, heating installation, so on, that works. And today was just a check that we put the probe in, cut it to the proper length, and then looked at the network analyzer whether we got a reasonable response. So that seems to work, and we just have it to take it from there.
Are you building your down converter, or how are you obtaining a down converter?
Well, the down converter is something that we bought. If you look at the on the discussion that was going on listserv, Dimitri had a recommendation there, and we followed the recommendation and bought those down converters. It's sort of surplus equipment which is sold by a Israel company. That's something from surplus from satellite equipment, and Demi had tested that, and we had tested that. They work quite well. Actually, the noise figure of the down converter itself is not so bad by all itself. It's about 2.5 dB, but obviously you want to have a lower noise preamplifier LNA to go with it. But probably what we are going to do is just put it on the dish and then look at the sun and see what we are getting with a 2.5 before we the trouble with the LNA is it's fairly easy to get an LNA which works up to 6 gigahertz, but beyond that, it's sort of a gap in between. So, but we have to figure out. We have some ideas, but haven't made up our mind yet. So I don't know when the next time it will be when I will be able to report something, but it's sort of we'll follow up on it and see what we can get. And eventually we see a spectrum. We'll have to see.
Great.
If I may, Rich, just one more announcement. As you know, we are organizing the EUCARA, the European Conference on Amateur Radio Astronomy, which will take place on the 16th and 17th of December. We're struggling a bit with the question whether we can also offer online participation. It looks like we will be able to do that. we'll do a final test on cameras and stuff next weekend. And I'm fairly hopeful that then we say, okay, it's looking okay, we can do it, we can stream it. And then I'll make an announcement on the listserv and probably also through some other forums, so that people who are not able to attend on site will be able to participate. The idea would be we will have talks on Saturday in the morning until noon. Then, of course, something that is not where you cannot participate online, that's a visit to the Effensberg telescope. And then there will be further talks on Sunday, again in the morning. And in the afternoon, there will be visits to our telescopes on some tutorials hands-on. So the idea would be that we will be offering online participation in the morning on both Saturday and Sunday. Details still have to be worked out. The unfortunate thing, though, is the time zones. When we talk, we're talking about 6 hours time difference between our time and the East Coast. We start at 9:30, which would mean 3:30 in the morning on the US East Coast. So it's going to be pretty bad, I'm afraid. But if anyone would like to participate, I'll make an announcement, hopefully next weekend.
Well, I've done a number of these. Being international, this is a standard, right? Getting up 3 in the morning is no big deal. So I wouldn't even, if they're dedicated enough, they should not have a problem with getting up at those hours. So I'll just go for it.
So it will be sort of a red eye conference, right?
That's right. I've done that for the BAA group with Paul Hearn, and you know, many times I've been up way in the morning, and that's fine. I think that's fine. Just get a nap before or after, and you're fine. Do you anything else on the Magnetar or the FRB front?
Yeah, we just continue to observe it. The Magnetar, the most recent observations are it's still there. It's much quieter now. We don't see many big pulses, but it's sort of ticking along. As far as the FRB is concerned, there's sort of a mixed bag. Sometimes there was a very strong pulse, but then there are quiet phases. We just 2 days ago had yet another pulse, but it was very weak. So we're just going on and monitoring. And by the way, I will give a talk on our conference about our FRB observations and the Magnetar observations. In particular, I will try to, I wouldn't say there's any real conclusion or so. What I'm just doing is comparing what are we observing on the FRBs and what are we observing on the Magnetars. And what of the observation do support the ideas that Magnetars are the source of FRBs, and what are the things that don't support it? And I can already say that it's somewhere in between. I mean, there are some things that say, okay, yeah, looks like FRBs look like Magnetars, but then there are other things where we say, no, not really. So it's an open question, but will be fun talking about it. And by the way, before my talk, we'll have the pleasure to have Dr. Laura Spittler as the keynote speaker. She is the lady who detected the first repeat FRB. So everybody in the community knows her, and we're very happy to have her with us in the morning of the Saturday, when she'll talk about what do we know about FRBs these days. Anyway, maybe that's a bit premature because we have to run the final tests on the streaming and cameras and stuff, but I hope that will work out. And we're scheduled to do that next Sunday. And then if everything is fine, I'll make an announcement.
I'll just say that I appreciate you trying to do that, and I'll make an effort to get up early in the morning and attend your conference if you do myself.
Brit, you're on mute.
Great. Any other questions? And I'm glad that the listserv is we're able to get Dimitri online and listserv and be able to get this collaboration going. I really like the fact that we've been able to do internationally, being able to help you, Wolfgang. That's great. Let's see. Another cool observation, Pablo, are you online? And I know you've been doing exoplanets, and I know that's not radio astronomy, but it's sure cool. So any new update on your exoplanets?
Yeah, I'm on a listening mode here. I just didn't. I just wanted to listen to what's going on. Yeah, I've imaged every night. I have now 2 observatories going full time. One with a 14-inch telescope, one with a 8-inch telescope. I still have my 2.1 meter dish pointing upwards and sparingly doing some observations with that. And so that's all I have to report.
All right, cool. Any questions for Pablo? Let's see, Alex, you've been working on one project, how's that going?
Well, I've been working on a different project. I've sort of set aside that trying to calculate spillover, but I over the past week or two, I built this little box, and let's see. There you go. What this is, I finally got a fiber optic link to work. It's USB to fiber. And so I'm hoping to be able to put this right on the by the antenna and convert from the 1.4 gig down to the AirSpy and transmit over fiber optic back to the house. It works. The USB over CAT is very noisy because I don't think they actually use the twisted pair. I think it's USB signals transmitted over a Cat5 type cable, but in probing the Cat5 cable, even one that's shielded, Cat6 or Cat7 rated, it has a high radiation, and I can't get that box closer than about 20 feet from the dish, or I start picking up RFI from the USB over Cat5 link. And of course, this being fiber, it's very quiet. That's it. I haven't actually, I've tested the components, they work. I haven't tested that box yet. And the weather's just, it's miserable. It's very warm and it's rainy, drizzly. This morning was like 80 degrees and 88% humidity. Just that was like the morning. That was like 8 o'clock this morning.
I'm wearing a sweater outside on my porch just to rub it in Colorado. So, all right. Okay. Thanks. Thanks, Alex. Let's see. Ted, Little Thompson Observatory. Any new stuff going there?
Continue to busy doing hydrogen measurements and studying the galaxy, but nothing to report yet. Trying to get ready for the conference coming up as well. Enjoy the show here today. Thank you.
I have a question for Alex, if I may. Alex, first of all, a comment. We have the same experience as you. USB over Cat5 is just horrible as far as RFI is concerned. Would it be possible that you put the link of the device that you're using for USB over fiber somewhere in the chat?
Sure.
Because we have to replace a USB link because it's not over Cat5, it's still creating a bit of noise, and we're looking into options to get rid of the RFI.
Okay, a comment on this one. I got it through Amazon. It's rated at 20 kilometers, and it was supposed to pull 10 watts. It's only good for about 250 meters, but only pulls 2 watts. So if 250 meters is still within your distance budget, this works well.
Yeah, that would be.
The interesting thing about this is I haven't really followed fiber optics for years, and this is it's dual channel over single fiber in that it uses wavelength division multiplexing. It uses the transceiver links are 1310 and 1550 nanometers, so it uses a single fiber bidirectional.
Yeah.
I'll get the end. It's not cheap. It was about $330, but
Okay, that's
I'll send you the info because it works well.
Thanks very much.
All right. Thanks, Alex. Let's see, Preston, last we heard your, 12-meter dish, you're still trying to do the TSYS with it, or did you get all that working?
I'm here, just a second there. There we go. Actually, I had to stop working on that thing for a while because my wife and I are putting together a library for a new college that's starting. So we've got about 3,000 to 4,000 books that we're putting in order according to the Library of Congress system. So that's taking a lot of time. Rich, you're muted again, I think.
I keep doing that. Don, thanks, Preston.
You're welcome.
Don, anything going on?
Nothing particularly new. I understand, Preston, the card catalog at the University of Miami, the last I knew, was worth about $5 million. If they had to recatalog the whole library.
So you're saying it's a money-making opportunity for Preston if he does it right?
Yeah, you have to burn the old one first, and then.
Oh boy.
No, I don't know, but I sympathize, Preston. I do.
Thank you. It turns out that we're doing it as volunteers, so we're not going to get rich.
All I have to say is you're a very strong person.
Yeah, that's it. That's the dilemma of being retired is everything is, all your labor is now free as volunteers. Yeah. Okay. Let's see, Bob.
Yeah, I'm working away here on my projects. I have my meteor camera collecting data and my magnetometer collecting data daily. Trying to put up a folded dipole, couple of folded dipoles to monitor broadband HF and listen to actually WWB transmissions to support the ham-sci community. And they're studying the ionosphere, and it's really a SIDS project too, I guess, in combination, or it could be considered that, to understand how the eclipse in particular is going to affect the ionosphere as it passes through in October and again in April. And I've got my hydrogen antenna too that I intend to get up eventually too, and kind of fighting the temperature problems down here too. I just have to work in the mornings and kind of shut down by noon because it's gotten too hot. But making some progress, and hope to, I have some data accumulating, and I need to spend more time working on plots and how to analyze data as it's constantly coming in. And so that's a challenging thing too as well. Hopefully not end up writing my own software, try to utilize some other software packages that already exist for that purpose. That's all I have.
Great. Any questions for Bob? All right. A new member of this group, Celia. Did I pronounce that right? Introduce yourself, please.
Hi, everyone. I'm Celia Loflin. I've been a radio geek for most of my life. I did it while in the military, and I found y'all on the web, and this is stuff that I'm very interested in doing now that I'm almost newly retired. So thank y'all for having me.
All right. Glad to have you. Let's see, Tom.
Oh, good evening or good morning or whatever is appropriate here. Never quite sure. Nothing to report, just checked in, have some free time. And glad to see that everyone's doing well.
I'm glad to have you back. All right, thank you. Helen.
Good morning. No, my biggest challenge this time around has been the internet, or lack thereof. Been extremely slow, and since we're in a rural area, we're not on anybody's priority list, and they're kind of slow anyway. We say a glacier moves faster than they do, so I've had problems just getting access to different things I wanted to. But I could sure talk about the heat. We're outside Phoenix.
All right.
Okay, I'll catch up with you next time.
All right, thanks, Helen.
Well, thank you.
Let's see, I think, Rob, you're the last one. How's it, how you doing?
I'm still waiting for the coffee to kick in. I was really empathizing with getting up at 3 o'clock in the morning for a conference. Well, I was up at like, 3:45, and it took half an hour for the coffee to kick in.
Yeah.
Oh, that's okay. So what have I been doing? Well, Ted seems to have gone off and tried to get ready for the conference. So I pointed my my 1 meter whatever you want to call it at the closer to the the southern South Pole type of thing, and it's been running out there for several weeks, and I haven't done anything with that part of it. It just sits there and runs. But what I did do is I have a nano vector network analyzer, and I'm thinking, well, I have a second set of electronics, to use on the dish out at Waruna. Okay, I don't know if you're familiar with that. I think Roger might have reported on that. So I've got the electronics to do all of that, and I want because they've taken the dumb thing, taken it apart. I wanted to use the VNA to to tune the thing. Okay, so I've been practicing on how to do that. And everything that everybody seems to talk about is stuff I did back at University of California, Santa Barbara, like when I graduated in '73. So everything people talk about with radio astronomy, is like cobwebs, and you have to wade through all of these things. And what I did do was, I took a look at, the science behind, what all of the, radio astronomy is doing. And I'm going, well, I should have paid more attention to some things at the time. Okay. So anyway, next week I go back out to the observatory, and I do, work on the optical observatory, and, get that up and running in a couple of weeks. And, hopefully rebuild the FLIR antenna that's sitting out at Waruna. I think it's like 18 feet, like a 3.5 meter dish or something. And that would be much better, get a little better resolution than my 1 meter. Apparently the 1 meter dish has a, 10 degree, beam on it. So, so anyway, so hopefully that'll happen. But I do have a question for Alex about his, electronics and to optical, link. Does he know the methodology or the technology that's in that device?
Anyway, no, if he doesn't really. I mean, this is old technology. I looked up back in the 70s. I was working with FDM, frequency division multiplexing, FM modulation for compressing a bunch of vibration signals onto a single direct track on tape recorder. But this is WDM, wavelength division multiplexing, and some of the more modern, like TV over cable, they put 120 channels on a single fiber. Really impressive. I don't know what these two frequencies are, where they were derived, but 1310 and 1550 nanometers seem to be a standard and have been around for decades. I mean, you just have a transmitter and receiver, probably a beam splitter between the diode and a receiver, and send the two colors down the same fiber.
Well, no, I was wondering if the optical interface was the avalanche photodiode running in a Geiger mode, if you know about that.
Not a clue.
Not a clue.
Not a clue. The only thing I can tell you is that it works with USB, and I've tried some other combinations that didn't work, but this is for USB 1 or 2, and there's another one actually lower cost for USB 3, but not backward compatible. But this works fine. No, I have no idea how that's actually performed.
Okay. Anyway, the problem that you have with your cable is that the wavelength of the interference, is with the rise time of the signals that you're sending it across, and it's getting out of the cable. On aircraft, what they use is what they call a trifurcated system, and that's where it's a coax, inside of another ground shield. I don't know if that would help you out with what you're doing.
Well, see, the USB over Cat5 is USB over Cat5 or Cat cable, and that normally is a sets of twisted pair. And I think if they ran the signals as balanced pairs over the twisted lines, they wouldn't radiate. But I don't think they do it that way.
Well,
yeah,
that's okay.
I have a question for you, Alex. I missed the beginning of your little talk. Is it USB to optics directly, or is it USB to Ethernet to optics?
No, nope. Here, hold on a second. Let me show this. Let me share my Amazon screen with you.
Modern technology at what now?
All right.
There you go. And one is.
Oh, I love it. Okay, I understand.
Okay.
Yep.
The receiver is self-powered from your PC over its USB port. The transmitter being the remote, and it needs a 5-volt source of power. And on the back side, it has a little 3.5 millimeter connector for power. So you power the remote one remotely, and the other. I mean, it's the only thing that's a little deceptive is that multi-mode cables are typically in pairs, and I thought that this was just a little fill-in cover here, but it's not. This is designed for single fiber. So I had some multi-mode cables. I split them. If you get single modes are in single fiber elements, and you can use them directly, and it is compatible with either because of I got this one actually it's max for 250 meters. Over that short distance, multi-mode or single mode cable work fine, either one.
Yeah, the single mode is half duplex, not full multiplex or whatever. Yeah, I understand.
No, that's not true. The single mode is the way the optical path is. You can still send multiple wavelengths over a single mode filter.
Single mode cable.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much, Alex. Sorry, but sorry everybody. I just wanted to get that info.
No, I don't think you need to apologize. I think other people wanted the answer to that question also.
I'd
Anyway,
like,
basically, go ahead. That's basically where I'm at right now.
I'll also interject that I'm using here a device that it's also on Amazon for $30, $40. And it's a fiber to Ethernet box, 30 or 40 bucks for each one. So on each end. So this is how I push my signals between where I'm doing my observing and back to into my house or wherever I want to try to look at it. And you can buy multi-mode or single mode versions of that. They're made by TP Link. This is an MC1110 110 CS, and it'll work up to 100 megabits on Ethernet.
I tried that. The problem I'm using is the SDR Sharp Studio requires seeing a USB device, and that turns anything into has an IP address. And I sent a bunch of emails, and I wasn't able to unwind the software on that. So I tried fiber, Ethernet, and then USBs on the other ends of that, and it didn't work. So this was the more expensive combination, but I don't have to write software and it works.
Yeah, you might be able to get by with using your SDR software on a Raspberry Pi located out in the field. That's what I'm doing, and then run SOAPy. There's a program called, or you're familiar with that already, to stream it down. Yeah, it is a software issue though to work through.
All right. Rob, anything else? You get a lot of discussion going with, glad you came online.
Yeah. No. What I did was for the stellar interferometer, I designed the avalanche photodiode interface, from the optics to the electronics. Okay, and that's the reason for my questions, is because I think that this is something that needs to be expanded to help people out, because interference from the radio frequencies is just painful. Okay, and optics doesn't create the same thing. Okay, and the high-speed electronics, you have the half-wave phenomenon where the wave goes down and you have to wait for it to come back. So everything seems to be slow, but you don't have that situation with the optical.
Well, Starlink is your optical interference, right?
No, I don't. No, not really. I get around that.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
All right. And just to rub it in, what's the temperature down where you're at?
Cold. I'm sitting here and about ready to put the fireplace on because it's cold, but it's not that bad. It's like 2 or 3 degrees at night and 13, 14 in the daytime. But we're in a heat wave right now. It's at 18 degrees during the day.
Oh boy. And
I was out on the water yesterday sailing on Sydney Harbor. And we got second place, by the way. And it didn't rain, but it was cold. But it was good fun.
All right. So how big is your sailboat?
How big is what? Oh, the sailboat. Oh, it's like 36 feet.
Wow, that's pretty good.
It's an old boat that at one time won the Sydney to Hobart for its class. But the largest sailboat I've ever sailed on was a 90-footer. And then the masts on that on that catch rig were what they call tabernacled, and that's so that the mast could be let down so they could go into the bridge in Europe, under the bridges in Europe.
All right.
Okay.
Okay. Any questions about radio astronomy for Rob or sailing? All right.
Or portions.
Oh, there you go. All right. Any other, anybody I miss? Anybody have anything? All right. Well, thanks everybody. And we will probably not have Drake's Lounge because we'll be having the Zoom. We'll be doing the Eastern Conference in 2 weeks. So I'll put a notice out either way. Okay, thanks everybody. Good work. Bye.